You guys are in pools?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. 3.
First pool in, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. I feel like I took a few years off from that.
I'm looking for friends for pools, but it's tougher than I thought it would be.
Well,
What do you mean? Why?
Well, I'm not into pool, but I don't have any friends.
Of course you have friends.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've got colleagues who do podcasts with me, but you know how I'm excited about this podcast these days?
How?
You see this garage that we're recording in. It's a mess.
It's an organized
I
mess.
swept this side today. I haven't swept to keep it clean and keep the dust and spiders out of the car, the kids' car seats or toys or bikes, but I swept today.
That's pretty
podcast.
big, dude.
It is. Okay, guys, you ready to start this show? Should we get going? Mm-hmm. Get to the good stuff?
Let's do it.
Brown, a long pass to Panderbury. In the clear, right in. Yeah, he scores!
Nelson into the zone. Keeps scores! They tied the game. Henrik on the left wing. Centers. Daniel shoots. Scores! The best shift of the season.
Here's Elias comes in and shoots. Scores! His first goal of the NHL.
So there's a new intro.
That
What does
sounds
everybody
awesome.
think?
I like it.
You like it?
I'm stoked.
You don't
exciting.
sound stoked. Let's get pumped.
I'm ready.
Let's get
Like
pumped.
I just literally just finished my fantasy draft, so I'm like coming down from that.
Oh, I should have asked you before we started. You're done?
All done. All
Okay,
done.
good.
I got my
Shaheed Devji here. Welcome back to Towel Power. It's actually October 1st, 2019. It's 8 p.m. when we're recording this, which means we are less than 24 hours away from the first Canucks game of the season. Had to record an episode tonight. Very excited about it. Very excited to have this guy sitting to my left. And if you're not watching and you're just listening, it's Tariq Karim. It's his first time on the episode, and I've been trying to get him on. He hasn't said no, but we just haven't found the right time. I wanted to get him on because for many reasons. We'll get into that. But Zam's here too, Zameer Karim.
So you've been outnumbered by the Karims on this podcast.
Yeah,
yet
that's right.
I'm outnumbered by the Devjis as well. So
Yeah,
it's a little
confusing.
complicated.
We won't get into our family trees.
Yeah, I'm just the middleman here, bringing you both together.
Welcome, Tariq.
Thank you.
Anyway, so I've been trying to get... Toast is not here today. He sends his regrets. He really wanted to be here, especially for this preseason, or I guess it's a preseason episode, but maybe he'll be back next week. So, hey, Toast, we'll welcome you back with open arms. This is your replacement, Tariq. So, Tariq, let's talk about you. This is what happens when you're in a garage. You hear
Hear stuff.
You hear horns and such. Anyways, so I've been trying to get you on for many reasons. The first reason was because you used to be one of the biggest Canucks fans I knew, and specifically the biggest Todd Bertuzzi fans I knew. This would be correct?
100% correct.
So
100%.
what happened?
I think I started finding a reason to believe, to be honest. I love the way we were going. I think 2010, 2011, obviously, that was the peak.
You stopped after that? I think you stopped before that. Didn't you stop before that?
Well, okay, so I think it was it fluctuated. So I think when Bertuzzi got traded, I was pretty young. How old was I? I think it was like 2008, 2009. So I was probably, 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
Young, immature. So made a decision that I wanted to follow Todd Bertuzzi everywhere. And that did not last long as he went to Florida, Detroit.
Calgary.
Yeah, so I mean, he became a journeyman himself at the end there. And I just didn't feel like I liked the direction the Canucks were going. Obviously, I was wrong as they, went to the finals and whatnot, and that brought me back, and it made me think less of a player and following players and following an organization and a vision that the organization had, and I believed in what they did. And I think the turning point for me when I got back on the train was when we kind of fired Gillis.
That's too bad. I was a fan of Gillis.
Yeah, I liked him, and I don't think it's probably not a great reason, but you want to feel excited. You want to trust the organization and what they're doing. And even though I think this season is probably the season to get excited for, I'm still not 100% convinced about the direction of the team. But that's what being a fan, you got to be loyal in all aspects. And I feel like my loyalties now lie in soccer completely with Liverpool.
Well, here's what I was going to say. The other reason
Yeah.
I wanted to bring you on was to talk about your experience. Maybe today's not the day. We'll do it another day. But because I found it surprising that you jumped off the bandwagon because Bertuzzi left, because you've been a loyal follower of Liverpool no matter who plays on that team. It's about the team and the crest. And so I was a bit surprised there because that's my experience with the Canucks is no matter who's on the team, I'm following that team. That's my blood. That's my heart. So maybe you weren't there, but are you there now with the Canucks? Not yet?
No.
You said not 100%.
I don't think it'll ever be there, to be honest.
Ooh, you can only have one team.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's also a commitment in terms of time. I think Liverpool don't play as frequently as the Canucks. And I think for me, just in terms of the organization and as a whole, I think the way or what Liverpool represent just aligned with me as an individual, and especially with who is at the helm of the club as in Jurgen Klopp. He gave me a reason to believe again, and for me, that's something I couldn't turn down.
And I'm sure we'll talk about this more as you join the podcast more. We've had conversations about Jurgen Klopp versus Travis Green. Not the time right now, but we'll get into that. Zam, before you jump in, we haven't mentioned for those watching on television or YouTube or Facebook, we've got a nice backdrop here. We didn't try it out last week, but tried it out this week, and it's getting professional up in here. Let us know.
It
what you
looks
think if you're
professional.
watching.
It doesn't sound professional.
Yeah, sorry about
It
that.
looks great.
Anyway, Zam,
Yeah.
were you gonna say something, or are you good?
Well, I was going to say, Tariq, for someone who's not a dedicated Vancouver Canucks fan, you seem to have a lot of opinions about the team.
Yeah, well, you're a sports fan.
Yeah, I'm a diehard sports fan, and I will have my opinions on things, whether I probably should or whether I should keep my mouth shut. But there are certain things I feel that the way you run an organization and stuff that are integral to a fan's following, and so looking at that perspective, I can chime in here and there.
I just don't. I just think you're not necessarily giving yourself enough credit for your fandom for the Canucks.
That's what I have you for, man. That's why you're, pumping my tires. Is that a nice rep? No,
for
Nice.
sure.
That's a Canucks fan reference right there. Amazing.
I know I'm not detailed as I was anymore,
But you are a fan.
But yeah, no, I'm a fan. I always support them through and through.
It's your hometown team, of course. You're gonna,
you got to
support them no matter where you are and where you live.
Definitely.
And this guy was quite the hockey player back in his day too.
Oh, God,
I used to
please
call
don't
him
remind me of that,
Peter
man.
Bondra. I used to
Peter
call him
Bondra.
Mini Bondra. So
it was because of that one game in Nanaimo. I
yeah,
think.
it was. You impressed me, and I haven't forgotten it. So you've got the hockey chops. So we'll give you the props, and I'm very happy that you're here. I hope you come
Thanks
back.
for having me. I appreciate it.
And of course, Toast, we'll have you back. But
Don't worry, I won't be here every week.
we'll kick
so.
Sam off next time. All right, so let's get into the latest. We're going to go with the same segment structure as last show. The latest is the news of the day, the latest news around the Canucks, and there's really only one thing to talk about today. But let's play a clip to tee it up.
So you would talk about the captaincy today. What sort of news do you have on that?
The announcement I have today is that we are going to name a captain this season. We've put a lot of thought into it. We don't take it lightly. We think that it's the right time for our organization and the right time for the person we're going to name. We're going to do it. We think it's a special moment and something that our fans should be able to witness firsthand. And we're going to make the announcement on our first home game Wednesday night.
Head coach Travis Green. That was fun playing a clip on a show. I feel nice and professional, as we were saying.
It brings me back to my radio days.
Yeah, but let's not toot our own horns too much. Okay, Travis Green announces today that the Canucks are indeed going to name a captain this season, which is great. I'm looking forward to it. It's about time, in my opinion. Let's just get it out of the way right now and throw the names out there. Who do we think it's going to be? Or no. Who do you think it should be? And then we'll get into who do you think it's going to be. Zam.
It's going to be one of four players.
Who do you think it should be? That's the first question.
Bo Horvat.
Okay.
By a mile.
Okay.
He is the leader of this team.
Sorry.
It should be Bo Horvat, and it's gonna be Bo Horvat.
Oh, two answers in one. Yeah. Okay, my answer to question one is it should be Bo Horvat. And I'm I'm gonna have to say it's gonna be Bo Horvat as well. But Zam, you were gonna say it's going to be one of 4 players.
Yeah.
So why don't you just name the players who you think it's not gonna be, and maybe that'll be a little bit easier.
It's not going to be Elias Pettersson.
It's
not.
So it's gonna be one of 4 players, but it's not gonna be Elias Pettersson.
Yes.
Okay. Explain yourself.
Okay, so for those who were following Twitter, Instagram, or other social media, or the radio today, the Canucks released a picture that named their leadership group.
Yeah, it was a
for the
tweet.
year. It was a tweet. They also posted it on Instagram as well.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And that's where I saw that initially. And in that, it showed 4 players. It was Tanev, Edler, Sutter, and Bo Horvat are the group that is comprising of the team's leadership.
So you think they're saying, and it said, as for the captain, we'll find out soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure most people listening to this have seen it, but if you haven't, each player in that group has an A in their name, and each of them has a emoji in bright red highlighted, and which suggests that they're going to be alternate captains or assistant captains. And Zam's suggesting that one of those 4 is going to be named the captain. I can't in any form or in any situation this season see any of those 4 players aside from Bo Horvat being named captain. But you think that this tweet might suggest that's happening?
It's suggesting that that's exactly what's going to happen.
No chance.
We were talking on our Towel Power chat today, and unfortunately Toast isn't here to kind of go along with this chat, that someone might have thought that that group is exclusive of the captain, that the captain is going to be named outside of these 4 players that were named.
Yeah, I kind of get that sense from the tweet, but I don't believe it. I think they're just trying to mislead us.
Well, but this is
Have
what
some
it says.
fun.
But this is what it says, is that the Canucks leadership group for the season.
Yeah, but
Now-
then there's the 4 A's that are
Well,
capitalized and highlighted. So
yeah,
they're saying,
but-
okay, these are the 4 alternates. Confusing. It's confusing.
It's confusing, yeah. And there's no C in Bo Horvat's name.
Yeah.
But Bo quotation mark C Horvat.
Well, they're not going to give it away.
No, I know.
They're announcing it later.
Yeah, we're going to find out on Saturday, I guess.
Wednesday, October 9th is the home opener.
Wednesday,
That's when we're
October 9th,
finding
so
out. I mean, we
next
just played the
Wednesday.
clip.
Yeah.
So
The home game.
Are you playing your fantasy draft? Playing your I don't have a fantasy pool team thing. That's because we talked about that. But anyways, pay attention.
Yeah. So okay. So we'll find out next Wednesday who the captain's going to be. It's going to be Bo Horvat. It would be a stupid move to give Elias Pettersson a C in his second season in the NHL. He's a good player, yes, but the Canucks have a really strong leader in Bo Horvat.
Okay, so Tariq, do we want to get into the controversy from this tweet today?
I just think it's a tweet to create discussion, and we've been sucked into it as fans, which is good, but that's the way it should be. I think they just want to create a discussion for people to figure out, is it going to be Pettersson, because that to me is the only alternative.
Right.
With that being said, this is an opportunity for the Canucks. With all the good moves and all the bad moves they've made, this is one thing they can do to unite a franchise, a fan base and players and organization together. This is an opportunity they can't mess up. So I can't see it being anybody else but Bo Horvat.
So Blake Price from TSN 1040, he thought it was confusing, and so he reached out to the Canucks and said, hey, this tweet sounds like a captain is coming from outside of these 4 players. And then
I think they changed the tweet.
No, they didn't change the original tweet, but they responded to him and they said, yep, that sounds right. And then he made quite the scene on Twitter saying, hey, they've confirmed it's coming from outside of these 4, and that only leaves one option. It's got to be Pettersson. And everyone's like, oh, damn, it's going to be Pettersson, but it's not going to be Horvat, but it should be Horvat, but I guess it could be Pettersson. And then the Canucks cleared it up and they said, hey, we misunderstood what you said. That's not what it means. It just means that, or whatever. That's not what it means. So basically, they were trying to draw it back and basically suggest that no, it's not going to be Pettersson, which then kind of put a pin in the fun that we were having and almost confirmed that it's going to be Horvat.
Yeah.
So it's too bad.
But I think they purposely did it. Like
I don't think they wanted to get out of control though, like that.
But I think you'd want to, because I think you want to create as much news as possible. And there's nothing that gets a fan base going before the season opener than a discussion of wondering what the heck is going on.
But in a way that it's creating a bunch of hysteria and making the Canucks front office or coaching staff essentially clueless to the needs of their own team.
Yeah.
What's changed? I mean, but
yeah.
welcome to Vancouver media and
fan base and the team itself. But you know what though, like having
Pettersson wouldn't be the worst pick.
No, but you'd have a unhappy Bo Horvat who deserves to be there, and I think. I mean, obviously, I can't speak for the players, but I would be surprised if they didn't feel that he deserves the captaincy.
Yeah, for sure.
The team around him, they know that he is the captain. He's been probably the captain in the room for the last season when they didn't have a captain.
Sure. Yeah.
He was the captain in waiting while Henrik Sedin was still on the team.
I mean, that changed when Pettersson came. I'm sure there is a camp out there that thinks Pettersson should be the captain, and that's kind of the way of the new NHL. The star player is the captain.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't agree with that, especially on this team. You need someone that can bring the whole team together. I'm not saying that Pettersson can't. He's still a guy in his second year in the NHL who's 20 years old. He may be able to say the right things, but when Bo speaks up, everyone listens. The media listens.
Well, I mean, when Pettersson speaks, everyone listens
for
too.
sure.
But I think we can all kind of relate it back, and we all agree it should be Horvat over Pettersson. But Tariq knows the history, but maybe a little bit before his time. But the Lyndon Baer thing. Baer is the best player on the team. He has all the pressure to score all the goals, but Lyndon's the clear leader and captain of that team.
Sure.
Like Baer is he's going to do his job. He's going to score his goals. He doesn't need any more pressure. He doesn't need to have any more spotlight because there's no more spotlight to give him. And there's more that goes into captaincy than just being a star player. And I think it's the exact same thing. Lyndon Baer is Horvat Pettersson.
You could the Pettersson captaincy thing, giving it to the best player on the team, that was like giving it when the Canucks gave it to Marcus Naslund. Marcus Naslund by far was the best player on the team, but I think at that point when Naslund got the captaincy after it was passed on from I guess Mark Messier at that point.
Yeah.
Naslund had been in the league for several years. He'd been in the league for probably 7 years at that point. It was 1999 when he was named the captain. He'd not only been able to be mentored under Mark Messier for a couple of years, he'd been able to learn from also Trevor Linden, and then he was able to then help Henrik Sedin and the Sedin twins develop those leadership abilities. This team doesn't have those leaders like Naslund had when he was named captain. So in that sense, you want someone who has already grabbed the bull by the horns, who has already established himself as a leader on this team. And in that sense, the only option would be Bo Horvat.
I think so, but I think it's an embarrassment of riches. I think that's the situation. I wouldn't say that the Pettersson Horvat situation is exactly like Bure Linden. I would say it's similar. I wouldn't give captaincy to Bure for my life. I don't think he's a leader. I think he's a fantastic player. He's the reason I wear number 10 whatever I can, because he's just that dynamic of a player. But he's not a leader. What I do think is that I do think Pettersson is a leader. I think that's why this is a debate. I think because Pettersson came in, took the league by storm, at least the Canucks by storm.
They're in the league. I think you're right.
Yeah, and he's come back this year fitter, bigger, and he's done what he can to improve his English. He is determined to succeed, and I think we're very
kind of put the
fortunate.
team on his back.
Yeah, and we're fortunate to have him, and it's unfortunate for him if he wanted to be a captain that he has Bo Horvat there. But I think because Bo Horvat, like Zam said, has been in the league a long time and has been groomed for this.
He's 24 years old still. He's still pretty young.
He's played 5
young.
seasons.
He's had years under his belt, and I think he's been groomed for this position since he was young. I listened to I think 650 this morning. They were talking about that, and it's unfortunate for Pettersson that he's there. Otherwise, I would say that he should be the captain. I think it would be okay, but Horvat's there.
Yeah, and I hate to do this because it puts Bo Horvat in a weird spot and position, but Pettersson might be the next captain of this team. And I was saying this to you guys earlier today. Bo Horvat, I hope he's a Canuck for life. I love the guy. But Trevor Linden got traded. So did Marcus Naslund. He walked free agency because they didn't re-sign him. Baer got traded when people, hoped he would be a Canuck for life. Anybody can get traded or can walk. And knowing that Bo Horvat is the second center on this team, will probably not be the highest paid player on this team, will not be the highest point getter on this team. He's somewhat expendable in that regard in the long term. So I could see a situation where Bo Horvat's no longer a Canuck, and I don't want that to happen, but it could happen. And in that case, it's Pettersson's captaincy to take. But like you said, an embarrassment of riches, and that's a great situation if it ever comes to that.
I think the only situation or scenario rather that Horvat doesn't stay with this team long term is if Pettersson is captain next Wednesday.
Yeah, that's a great point. This is the reason we brought this guy on. One more thing I wanted to say about Horvat being captain, and you referenced it a little bit there, Tariq, is him being groomed for this. He had a couple years under Henrik Sedin and Daniel Sedin's leadership, and I'm sure that is the best teaching you can get on how to lead a team. If he didn't already know, which something tells me that Bo Horvat was born to be a leader and a captain in the NHL, but if he wasn't, what put him over the hump was playing underneath those two guys. And I was just watching the highlights while I was putting the intro together today of that last home game, the Sedin's last home game. And when Daniel scored in overtime to win, one of the last players to congratulate him was Bo Horvat, but it was one of the players that spent the most time congratulating him just because they took him under their wing. And I think we're really lucky to have the next captain, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, but probably not, that was groomed by those two guys.
I agree. Yeah.
Nice. Anything else to say about the captaincy?
Don't screw it up, Canucks.
Do you think Pettersson should get an A? That was a bit of discussion today among fans. Yeah. Eventually, yeah, but even this season?
right away.
I thought, he could have gotten an A this year, but I'm
Doesn't
okay.
look like it's happening.
I'm
Take it away
okay
from Sutter.
but I'm okay with him not getting an A this year, and I don't think he was necessarily.
Took the Sedins a while.
Yeah, it took the Sedins a while, and I don't think that Pettersson was looking. I don't know if he was looking for that.
Well, they say quote unquote that leaders don't need a letter and don't look for it, but I disagree with that. I consider myself to be a humble dude. I put the team first, but when the captaincy was up for grabs on any team, I thought I should be the guy because I wanted to put the team on my back and I wanted to set the right example and I wanted people to look at me and see how the team should function and how we should play and how we should treat each other and treat people. So I'm sure Horvat wants that. I'm sure Pettersson wants that, and I think he'll get it eventually. If it's not this at the beginning of the season, I'm sure Pettersson will have an A by the end of it, injuries or whatever. So we'll see.
Well, they were saying they gave Edler and Tanev both got A's, and neither one of them can get through a whole season. So
yeah, it's Pettersson's. He's next. Okay, so Canucks captain next Wednesday, home opener. We're all going to be watching, and I think we all know what's going to happen, but we'll see. We didn't know that Sven Baertschi was going to get put on waivers, so there are some surprises with this team, and that's going to take us into the next segment of our show, which is what we're going to spend the bulk of the time talking about is the focus, and that's where the Canucks stand lineup wise ahead of Game 1 against the Oilers on Wednesday. And that stems from the decisions to make their final cuts and the surprise decision earlier this week to put Sven Baertschi and maybe less of a surprise Nikolai Goldobin and somewhat a surprise Alex Biega on waivers. And they all cleared waivers, so the uproar that was maybe overblown or not, I'm not sure, I'm on the fence there, has kind of probably subsided a little bit, but it was quite the big deal, and for some still is, that Sven Baertschi got sent down to the minors after what he's gone through, after the numbers he's put up in the preseason and even in his last full season combined. What are your guys' thoughts on Sven Baertschi being reassigned to Utica?
Shouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
but I think it depends on the way the Canucks want to play, and I think, I hate to be negative, but I feel like it was too good of a nice offseason For it to be smooth sailing, there had to be a Benning bump in the road, and there was. I just think that
should be a segment on this show.
Right.
What's this week's Benning bump?
And you know what? You're always going to have something to talk about.
It's going to be the sound effect of a vehicle just screeching over a speed bump.
Or an anvil dropping off a cliff, like the Roadrunner.
Right. And I just think that it depends the way the Canucks want to play, and obviously they've committed to top 6 and bottom 6 as opposed to a top 9. If I'm not mistaken, I think Jim Benning had said that they felt they already had skilled players from what they acquired in the offseason to the point where Baer was expendable. Am I correct on that?
That's essentially, you're paraphrasing. Yeah,
right.
That's pretty much it.
And I think you can never have enough skill on a team. And I don't think that Sven is not a person who's not going to work hard in the corners and do all the.
We saw a lot of it last season. And he was the leader in that regard.
And I think, when you're looking at Jake sometimes being on the fence, Goldobin obviously is being sent down, but he was on the fence. You have your
Gaudette
Mott,
even.
You have your Schaller. Those guys, Schaller especially. I think it's a no-brainer to have Sven there. If Sven's on my fourth line, obviously it's not where I want him to be. But if he's there,
in the top 9, he can play on the left wing with Brandon.
He can do
Sutter.
it. And if you want to roll 4 lines the way the Canucks, obviously I think want to play, or that's their goal is to roll 4 lines, he can be a big part of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, do you think Adam Gaudette's preseason played a large factor in this, or do you think it was going to happen regardless, cap situation wise? Like, I don't know the cap inside and out. I don't know the Canucks cap situation inside and out, but they're saving $1 million by having him in the minors. And
well, is that $1 million better off spent on Baertschi in the minors or Louis Eriksson in the minors? And it comes back to that. They would have saved $1 million had they shipped Louis Eriksson to the minors. And I'd rather have Baertschi in the lineup than Louis Eriksson.
I don't think Adam Gaudette played Baertschi off the team. I think the bottom line of, Schaller, Beagle, I think those the commitments there in and their Sutter. Contracts.
Well, luckily,
and Sutter.
I think Tim
and
Schaller,
Eriksson. it's just that's the theme you're talking about, right? Mismanagement and the philosophy. And I heard a story on the radio today when Travis Green was in Utica. There was a reporter or someone who had suggested that he, out of all AHL coaches, was the strictest on having top 6, bottom 6 out of all minor league coaches. And so the philosophy follows through that if he doesn't think he can have an effective offensive third line, then he's for sure going to go with what he thinks is more likely to happen, and that's have a bottom 6.
And that's true. And I think, but I think the positive side, and I was listening to Walker on 650, and
why would you do that?
He's not the guy I want to quote on here, but he made a good point in that Baertschi's contract, I think, is $3 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
no one's taking him. No one's going to take him. No one did, and it is likely. And I'm listening to Benning's clip on that. He will be back up. And
Green's clip maybe is even more telling. It's like right away he says, well, it's an 82-game season and lineups change. I expect,
he's going to be back up. So and it will show that he should have been back at the start of the season. But you know what? I'll wait for the Canucks to prove themselves wrong rather than me.
Which happens regularly these days.
And so 3 guys whose money's coming off the books at the end of this season, Mott, Virtanen, or 4 guys, Levo and Schaller, 4 guys whose contract, and Adam Gaudette is a restricted free agent at the end of the season as well. But the Canucks obviously feel that this is not necessarily a year that they're pushing maybe deep into the playoffs.
There's no way they're going deep in the playoffs.
Exactly. So you're biding time in a way.
Oh, if that's what they think,
I don't know.
They've got something else coming for them from the fan base
for sure. But Schaller, Levo, Virtanen, Mott, 4 players that are essentially on the bubble of the Canucks, whose contracts are up for negotiation at the end of the year.
Leaves a lot of room for free agent signings in the summer.
Well, but there's not a lot of
Well, how
money.
are they going to replace these guys? They're going to need to sign free agents.
Sure, but then you have a guy like
Low
Berchi
cost.
sitting in the minors. You have a Goldobin. If both those players are better to come up and fill those roles, Mott and Virtanen are both restricted free agents. Levo and Schaller they're not re-signing. They're not re-signing Tim Schaller.
But we're talking about this season.
Yeah.
Right? What makes the Canucks the best team this season? And the message that we're getting sent is
they're not playing for this season.
is Tim Schaller and Tyler Mott and Brandon Sutter make the Canucks a better team this season, as opposed to potentially a Gaudette, a Berchi, Goldobin. You know, I'm still not sold on, but you know, I'm a big Sven Berchi fan, especially what I saw of him early last year in times last season, and obviously injuries play a factor, and they say he's not up to speed yet. And if we take that at face value, then we can expect to see him back up. But they probably expected him potentially to get picked up, and that means they don't see as much value in him as another team might.
I would really hope that they expected that no one would pick him up, and that's why they put him down. Because I think everybody realizes that these teams are now at the cap, and no one can really afford to. And I would hope that the Canucks knew that, obviously, and that's why they put him down, because they knew they would need him throughout the course of the 82-game season.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I find it hard to agree with the fact that he's not better off up with the big team to start the season. He doesn't make them a better team than they are right now. But you know what's great about this situation is that they haven't played a game, and we're going to find our answers out pretty soon after game 1, after game 5, after game 10. Like if they're not rolling, things are going to change, and they have a bit more depth this year, which allows things to change. Now, I don't know exactly what that depth is. Does it mean Berchi's the first guy up? Probably. You know, there's a couple guys that I'm sure impressed them in preseason. Not saying that Grayovac is coming up instead of Berchi, but because he's certainly a bottom 6 guy. But he was impressive. McEwen, you know, had a long look, and so I don't know. We'll see what happens, but we're gonna find out if they're good enough with the decisions they've made pretty quickly. So, what are your thoughts of the lines? Have you guys seen potential lines for tomorrow? The lines are essentially what we thought in the top 6. Ferland, Besser, Pettersson, and then Miller, Horvat, and Pearson. Do you think Adam Gaudette, who took some turns on a wing on the third line instead of Jake Virtanen, or you can call it fourth line, like I don't even know what is what at this point, but do you think he should start on the bench just like Besser did a couple of years ago? It's not the same situation, but based on the preseason and the lineup they have in the bottom 6, where does Gaudette line up tomorrow?
Well, Tyler Mott's injured, so there's a spot.
There's one spare guy.
So it's going to be him or Louis Eriksson.
Yeah.
Eriksson is not he's not a top 12 NHL forward on a team right now. I would put Gaudette on the right side on the fourth line or third line with Beagle or Sutter, one of those places, and leave Louis Eriksson in the press box. And I know it's a waste of money and a waste of $6 million that's just sitting in the press box, but
it screams to me of politics, this decision to send Sven Berchi down and keep Eriksson up. Because if that's the case, if Eriksson ends up on the bench and is that extra forward, I just can't believe that he's a better option up on the big team than Sven Berchi.
Yeah.
So it's either he is actually not up to speed and he is, you know, the timing's off and he's not ready to go. I mean, he had 4 points in 5 games in the preseason, so I don't know. Or they just don't want optically to send Louis Eriksson down and admit that they've made that massive mistake.
Well,
so I don't know.
But everybody, every single Canucks fan knows that they made this mistake and they've been suffering for it for the last, 2 or 3, as long as Louis Eriksson has been here. We all know the most amount of goals he's going to get is 10, maybe 12. Like his highest,
Ooh, that would be nice.
12 goals would be nice on a fourth line, but
But they're not going to admit that.
No,
they're
no.
not.
Well, and that leads me to believe they know that. They know everybody knows it, and they know what happened this offseason with Eriksson's comments. So that really leads me to believe that they think that Baerchi is, one, not good enough or not ready.
okay, maybe
And I
he's
guess
not
we have to
ready.
take
Yeah.
that at face
So-
value.
Probably
right?
not ready, I guess. But yeah, we have no choice but to believe what they say. But I believe he'll be back.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
And I think they'll see what they did, and it's not the end of the world. And hopefully the Canucks start off on the right foot. But
Yeah.
and so they can take their time. But he will be back, and there's no way Eriksson's an option for them.
Though recallable waivers could play into effect because a team could claim him at 50% and leave the Canucks with having to pay 50% of that salary.
Is that the rule?
That is, yeah.
I thought he doesn't have to go through waivers on the way back up.
I think so.
It sounds like once you clear waivers on the way down, in this situation, you don't have to go through waivers on the way back.
Oh, okay. News to me.
That's what I
Yeah.
understood of what's going on. But again, I'm not the expert.
If he does get called up by a team, then I mean,
Not the worst thing.
I hope he does well for
Yeah,
them,
of
because you know
course.
what? That's just a crazy move.
Yeah. And I guess his injuries play a role in him not getting picked up on the way down, just because, like you said, one, cap, teams are set. But also, if they're not set, are they really going to take a risk on a guy who hasn't played a full season in 3 seasons? And especially when there's a guy like Josh Hosang or other guys out there who have probably a lot more potential than Baerchi does.
Josh
So-
Hosang and Daniel Sprong, 2 guys that were sent down by their respective
Didn't
teams.
get picked up.
And neither got
Yeah.
picked up either. But having seen Josh Hosang play, not a fan.
Yeah, and hear him talk. You're also not a fan.
not a
either,
fan.
right? Okay. Any other thoughts on the Canucks this season? The way they line up. I think what we should do to keep this conversation going is answer our question of the week from last week, and that was where do you think the Canucks are going to end up? How do you think they're going to do, and why? Why don't we start off? Let's start off with some. We got some responses.
Yes.
Zam,
we
did you get any?
I got 2 responses.
Okay,
Yes.
let's hear it.
So Taco Vida, who's a former university colleague of mine, Alex, he responded that the Canucks will make it to the second round of the playoffs.
Okay, and
Should
did he
we-
give you
should-
a why?
No, there was no why.
Okay.
And then the other one is another Devji relative,
Okay, let's hear it.
Vegdani MD.
Okay, nice.
Yes. Who is also, I believe she's a Calgary Flames fan. She's
Yeah,
from Calgary,
probably.
right?
Yeah.
I would
Her name's
assume so.
Zara.
Zara, she says that they will not make it very far.
Yeah, and she might be right.
Oh, what is she supposed to say?
Yeah, she's a Flames fan,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? Okay, Tariq, what are your thoughts? How are the Canucks going to do? I guess standings wise in the end, and what do you think is going to play the biggest role?
To be honest, I have no idea about standings, but
Playoffs,
specifically
no playoffs.
playoffs.
Playoffs. Okay.
Yes, they will make the playoffs. I'd be super optimistic if I said they'd make the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
But you know what? I've been too negative so far on the podcast. I'm going to be optimistic. They will go second round playoffs as well, I would
Good
say.
for you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so let me pull up some answers that I got from Instagram, and thanks for sending them. And it makes us feel really good that you humor us by sending your responses in. IHLBC responded. Okay,
Oh,
that's a big deal.
that's a big one.
That's an entire league, a sporting league, responding to our podcast.
What
that's
up,
huge.
IHL?
Wild card spot. I think the Jets will miss, and the Canucks, might be able to get into that spot.
That's on other
IHLBC. Canucks fans.
Yeah,
What's
of
up? Yeah. Who's controlling that Twitter account?
I think
Let's
it's
figure it
probably-
out.
Was it Nabil or Aleem? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would say Nubble.
So, anyways, wild card spot and getting in the playoffs. Okay, so that's Zam. What did you say?
I think they're going to squeak in, but they're not going to make it past the first round.
Okay, so-
there'll be a wild card team.
Yeah. Okay. Stanley Cup from Mandeep Hayer from Nanaimo High School. Thanks, Mandeep. Might be a stretch, but again, appreciate you giving us something to talk about. Not sure how much we can talk about it. Stanley Cup. I mean,
Not
never
this
know.
year.
I've been dreaming.
Not
Hey,
this
if you
year,
get
maybe.
in, it's all game.
Well, hey, I'll say this: if the Canucks are going to win a Stanley Cup, there's a good chance that they're going to have a guy named Pedersen on the team. So he's not that far off.
No, definitely not.
Maybe in the next 3-4 years, maybe.
I don't see
you
it.
never
I don't
know,
feel
man.
it yet.
I don't feel it
I don't
yet
feel it
either.
yet.
But who knows? If this team continues to build,
Yeah.
they can build like that Sedin's team, because they were never expected to really be that great of
But
a team.
I disagree with that. Sorry, do you want to jump in here?
Well, I don't know. I think it's super unlikely. Like I think the chances are pretty much maybe 0.5%.
no, this year, yeah,
Yeah,
0.0%.
But all we need to do is get in. If you told me that the
Leicester
St. Louis
City,
Blues,
right?
there you go. But if you told me the St. Louis Blues,
Yeah, exactly,
we're
yeah.
gonna do it with Jordan Binnington at the start of the year. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Not happening.
Yeah.
And they were they not last in
They
the
were
NHL?
last at January 1st.
So
Last
if
in
that can
NHL.
happen,
Yeah.
anything is possible. So
Yeah.
if the Canucks can get on this train,
Well,
we're
the-
going somewhere.
It's the LA Kings theory, right? If you get in, you can win.
Yep.
That's all you need.
So back on the topic of those Sedin teams, I distinctly and vividly remember at many points during the previous seasons to the one where they made it to the final, just thinking during some of these games, I was like, this is something that I haven't seen before. Like, this is really special. This team has a feeling to it. Like there's not even a challenge in some of these games.
But I'm
And
thinking
so
as-
that felt to me
Yeah.
felt like this team is on the cusp of doing something really special. And it wasn't that season, it was in the seasons prior. So
I'm thinking as early as.
but what I'm saying
06,
is I
07.
don't feel that yet.
Yeah.
And so there's no way I can even fathom this team winning a Stanley Cup right now. Because I just don't feel that. And I think you need to be able to feel that at some point during a season.
No, for sure. And I'm thinking as early as like the first season or two with Roberto Luongo, where it was essentially Luongo keeping them in every
Sure,
single game.
sure.
They were winning 1-goal games, and like he's
But
giving up.
something changed.
Yeah, something changed, and they started to build and get more scoring.
And Mr. Mike Gillis rounded out a team pretty nicely.
Yeah, did a good job.
and I'm going to be picky. You said that it's a feeling that you have to feel within the season.
No, I didn't.
No.
I didn't.
Oh.
I said in the seasons leading up.
Oh,
there
seasons
were a
leading up.
couple
Sorry,
games in the
okay.
seasons leading up where I was like, this team is like unmatchable. Like, in some of these games, it's like it's embarrassing how good they are compared to other teams. And so that, especially obviously in that year, but in the year previous, I remember, and potentially in 2 years previous. So, you got to see it coming. The Blues are a weird situation, and the Kings that year as well, right?
I like weird. And
Yeah. I like it weird.
I would take a fluke, a weird
Well,
thing,
of course.
right? You take it. So the thing is, you got to believe, man. You really have to believe. And if you think you can get into the playoffs, is it likely? No. Is it impossible? No.
So
No,
right now,
it's not impossible.
If it's
Obviously,
possible,
not
then
impossible.
you gotta
Anything's possible.
So right
gotta-
now, the
okay,
2019
back on the positive
the
vibes.
2019-2020 goal, get into the playoffs, and then we can figure out what's going on beyond.
So
That's it.
Jamil Juta, a very good hockey player in his own right.
Very much so.
I believe they really have a shot at the playoffs as long as they stay healthy. And I think that's as far as I can go in terms of saying whether they're going to make the playoffs or not. I think they have a shot, just like they had a shot last year if they stayed healthy, because they were right in it until they got a little unhealthy, and then Pedersen kind of slowed down as well. If I had to pick playoffs or not playoffs, I'm probably on the side of not playoffs right now. And it has a lot to do with what we've been talking about in the bottom six. I just don't think they're good enough. I don't think they can compete with other teams in the West depth-wise to be able to, if everyone's playing at their best, the Canucks are not a playoff team in my mind. And that, it disappoints me to be able to say that, but stranger things have happened, as we've said. And I think if they stay healthy, like Jamil's saying, they have a shot. I just think they probably fall short based on the team that they have, and it sucks because I've been very excited, but then I just look at the bottom half of the roster and I get less excited. So what can you do?
I don't know. If you bring Goldie and Beershey up, I mean, things might change.
things might change.
And you know what? We're worried about injuries to us, but I mean, that's excluding all the other teams,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Like
a
if
fair
injuries
point.
happen to other teams and it's marquee players, I mean,
Yeah.
we're maybe talking about a different kind of optimism here.
Okay. So let's throw the question of the week for next episode out there. And it's going to be based on the first few games that the Canucks play. And I don't know if we're going to do an episode next week. We might. It might be 2 weeks from now. But watch the games and answer this question. Based on what you've seen in the first 2 weeks of the season, where are the Canucks improved on the ice and where are they still lacking? Now, this is not something you can answer until you watch them play, because we've been talking hypothetical and theoretical for months now, and certainly for the last couple weeks as things get closer. But now we'll actually be able to judge it on the ice. So we'll do a 1 week or 2 week report and just see what we think in terms of their biggest improvement and still where they need some help based on what we see in the first 2 weeks. Fair? So keep your eyes out. Okay, guys, most important part of the show. Time to wave the towel. It's towel power, and the reason it's towel power is because we're fans and we want to stay positive, like Tariq's been saying. So we're going to wave the towel for something that we're applauding, proud of, happy to see, something that's, given us the feelings this week. And because Tariq's here for the first time, we're going to let him go first.
All right, so I'm going to wave the towel on that positive feeling. Positive so much that I actually drafted some Canucks in my fantasy hockey pool.
Oh my goodness.
It's something I swore I was going to stay away from because they were so bad. But
who'd you draft?
In one pool, I took Pettersson and JT Miller.
Ooh, okay. I like JT Miller. He's shown he's versatile.
But I was happy about that, but I was also happy about other players picking people like Quinn Hughes. I mean,
are these Canucks fans or not?
I mean, they're actually from Ontario. So that shows, not that Ontario is a BL end all, but it shows that it's a reach now where it's basically our people have caught, an eye or caught notice on our players and they see that trend going up. And it's when you realize, this is obviously not a litmus test, but if your players are being picked in fantasy hockey, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, the core of four, man. Pettersson, Hughes, Besser.
How did I forget Besser? But yeah, they all got picked in my pools, and I don't think one pool went without them being picked. So that goes to show that there's a sense of optimism in the NHL for them in general, and obviously as fans, we should be very optimistic as well.
And I think we are generally. I guess I sound like I'm not based on this episode in my answer.
I'm just balancing it out now with you, but.
Zam, what are you waving the towel for? Do you know, or do you not know yet?
No, so I opened up Twitter today, or
that's cheating.
I'm kidding. Okay, so I'm waving the towel at the YVR Airport Twitter account.
Oh, they're good. They do a good job.
Like
and so their tweet so they were quoting a tweet and then retweeting the Canucks going on their first roadie of the season.
Yeah.
And so YVR Airport's tweet is, wonder if that plane has a captain or 4 assistant captains.
Ah, interesting.
So I like that. I can also wave the towel a second time.
Yes, I know what you're going to say. And I was going to use this as one of my 2 towel waves, but go ahead.
Okay.
It's so good.
Yeah, so we saw the Canucks, with that tweet about the leadership group this season, and then they showed the picture
of the previous captains.
Of the previous captains. And our good old former Vancouver Canucks friend, Strombone 1, Roberto Luongo, he sent a tweet where he photoshopped himself into that group of all the former captains with Orland Kurtenbach and Stan Smeel, Trevor Linden, Marcus Naslund, and
I guess some of the former captains, right?
I guess, yeah. Obviously, Mark.
Where's Mark?
Where's Mark?
Legendary Canucks captains.
Mm-hmm.
So Luongo photoshopped himself into that.
Yeah. He said, "Look what I found when I zoomed out," and it actually worked really well on my phone because when you click on it, it gets bigger, and then he just pops up on the side. Oh man,
yeah,
I miss
it was
that
hilarious.
Guy.
Yeah,
I really do.
I thought Canucks Twitter missed an opportunity there. I mean, great that obviously Luongo has that humor, but man, if Canucks wanted to have some humor too, that would have been great if they also put him in there.
Yeah. I mean,
just have fun with it,
because you're putting essentially and effectively, you're putting him in the same category as Messier there.
Yeah.
And
he's no way.
Guy's numbers got to be in the rafters. He is the best Canucks goalie ever.
Oh yeah.
They treated him like garbage, even though he probably brought on a lot of it on his own. But he gets a rough ride.
Can I wave the towel a third time?
Well,
wow, no one told me. I also just waved one towel here. No, I'm good.
No, but there was one other thing that I saw.
Okay, but what if it's what I want to say?
Okay, you go ahead. And if it's not there, then
because you've already taken my second, so I don't have another one.
Go ahead.
Okay, but I don't think it will be.
No.
So you can wave it again after.
Yeah.
We got lots of towels under this table here. I actually have had lots of Canucks towels in the day, but I've lost them all for some
know,
reason. I don't know
same.
where they are. Anyways, I'm waving the towel for Bo Horvat, and in his captainly way, what he said when Sven Berchi was waived was poignant to me because he was honest, and he didn't mince his words. He said, "It hurts. He's close to me. It's not great." He essentially said, "I don't like it." He was being a leader and being honest, and it just, to me, it's what I want to see out of a captain, is not just saying, "Hey, they have to make tough decisions sometimes. We'll have to move on with the players that we have here. It's part of the game." No, this one sucks. He's close to my family and close to me. Didn't want to see it happen, but it is what it is. That's what I like to hear. No beating around the bush. So good for Bo Horvat, future captain.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, number 3 for you.
So number 3. So this is a waving the towel at Pepsi. And Pepsi released this new commercial that includes the hockey anthem. So I sent this to our...
You did?
Yeah, I sent this to our group chat, and I don't know if you can find it and get a chance to play it.
Yeah, I got it here. Let's listen. That was Darnell Nurse.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's Bo Horvat. It's amazing.
That if that's not getting you into hockey mood, I don't know what is.
I missed it.
It's getting me into Pepsi mood. That's what I'm saying. No,
there you go.
I'm never in Pepsi mood. That's it's not my drink of choice.
No, so yeah, and the reason that came up on my Instagram feed was, as we were talking about Bo Horvat being in the commercial, and he posted it on his Instagram account, and I watched that, and I was like, awesome.
Nothing can beat that theme. That's hockey.
That is hockey, and good on TSN for jumping on it when they got the chance.
Okay, so Tariq, you have anything else you're waving the towel for? Nope,
No.
You're good?
No.
We have a couple minutes left here before we're going to wrap up. I did want to talk about the rest of the NHL and just kind of wanted to get a sense of what you guys were excited about, you poolies who are in pools, and me who just will watch hockey without being in a pool because nobody asked me to be in a pool. Not saying I have any hard feelings or holding anything against you guys, but anyways, what else are you looking forward to? You going to watch any other hockey, or is it just Canucks this year?
Just Canucks for me. I think if I'm able to even watch all games, to be honest. But
it's a lot of games.
Yeah.
82 games is a lot.
But I think, this is kind of the year to watch a bit more if I can. But yeah, watching everyone else. I mean, even though I'm in lots of pools, it'll just be more purely stats, to be honest. And maybe some highlights. Maybe going to TSN and watching the highlights at the end of the night. That's probably going to be a routine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to watch basically the Canucks and see where this team goes.
Yeah.
I will watch. I guess I'll still watch Vegas with intrigue because they're still a pretty good team. They're a fun team to watch, a fun atmosphere to watch. I will also watch Nashville with intrigue. I think they're going to be another good team, and I'll probably watch the Toronto Maple Leafs with intrigue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? I'd have to agree with you there. Ever since I lived in Ontario, I caught the bug. I caught the Maple Leafs bug,
No,
and
don't do that.
it's weird to say as a Canucks fan. Yeah, and you can throw tomatoes, whatever, but when you're there, it feels big. It feels huge. It feels like it does with the Canucks, but even bigger.
Well, it's like in Montreal, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Though the Canadians sucked over the last 2 years.
It might
I
be
lived there.
common in any Canadian city during a hockey season. That's the only time I've been in another Canadian city for a long period of time during a hockey season. So I bet it's like that in Calgary. I bet it's like that in Edmonton and Winnipeg and Montreal, like you said. But it was just, it felt really cool to be in and around there and with every game on TV. And I enjoyed watching their games, and I have ever since. And they're a fun team to watch. So I'll continue to watch them because I won't have a choice because that's all that's on TV. But
every Wednesday and Saturday and Sunday.
I'm really excited to watch some other teams this year. Like, I want to see the Devils play. Jack Hughes has been lighting it up in preseason, and and they've got a new looking team with PK Subban there and some new players from last year. So that's interesting. And like the Rangers, if you're drawn to the Leafs, how can you not be drawn to the Rangers with Panarin and Kakko and that team that they've got? A Leafs Rangers game is going to be interesting, and a Devils Rangers game is going to be even more interesting. So I'm excited. I usually am excited for a hockey season, but it dies down pretty quickly. So we'll see how long it lasts. But
well, it'll be up by playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something.
Exactly.
I mean, the Leafs are going to be a fun team to watch, 100%.
And it'll be a circus.
It'll be great, but nothing's better than the Bruins and the Leafs and the Bruins spanking them.
Or the Canadians and the Leafs. That's good too.
Well, I mean, I prefer them to get spanked.
But see, I don't want to see the Leafs lose to the Bruins. I don't want to see the Bruins win. Like, period. I as a Canucks fan, hate seeing the Bruins win more than I hate seeing the Leafs win. So I'd rather the Leafs.
I don't even feel that, because I don't even feel like the Bruins beat us, to be honest. I feel like we beat ourselves.
For sure.
So
there's no way I'm going to cheer for the Bruins, though.
No. I will always cheer for the Bruins against the Leafs and then hope the Bruins die out.
Yeah.
That is my theory.
Here's the thing. A lot of people, Canucks and other Canadian hockey fans, say that they don't want to see another Canadian team win the Stanley Cup. They want it to be their team being that team to win the cup first. I don't care. I would love to see a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup, because I don't know if I'm going to see that in my lifetime. It's been long enough. It's been 25 years or 26 years. Like, it's about time. I don't care who it is at this point. I want to see it happen.
See, not for me. I would take Winnipeg. I would take an Ottawa, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Ottawa, come on.
No. As long as it's
another.
Oh, sorry, and in Montreal too. Yeah. I'd be okay with that. But as long as it's not the Leafs and it's not the Flames or the Oilers, because none of those guys cheered us when we went to the finals. I mean,
I'm not necessarily cheering for them. I mean,
like if they're there, if they're in the finals, and they're close to it. I mean, it'd be great
fine. I'd be
them.
cheer for them. I'd cheer for them if it's against an American team. I'd probably cheer for them.
But would you cheer like the Leafs and like the Flames and the Oilers? I couldn't.
If you asked me if I would cheer for the Flames or Oilers if they were up against an American team
in the finals, yes.
Yeah, I would for sure.
Really?
I did when the Flames went to the finals.
I did as well, but when no one cheered for
us
us in the 2011, I was like, okay, this is allegiance, or this supportive nature at the end is a one-way street.
I'm sure there are hockey fans in Canada
that
cheer for the Canucks. Yeah, I mean we're all bitter still. It sucks. I think
no, not about that, but I'm just bitter that they didn't support us when we were there.
But
I don't think so.
I felt like there were probably people that did. Maybe you just didn't come in contact
minority.
with them. Yeah.
But I felt like
That's
when,
racist,
but at least for me, at least for me, when I saw the Oilers or the Flames get into the finals, I thought the support was widespread.
And the Sens too. The Sens made it to the finals, right?
Yeah, but I don't think anybody was in.
It was against Anaheim. Anaheim in 07.
Yeah. We were definitely cheering for the Sens at that point. Yeah. Who was their goalie? Was it Giguère? No, that was Anaheim.
It was Anderson.
Giguère won when they
Didn't
lost.
Ray Emery take them?
Giguère won the Conn Smythe in 04 when they lost to New Jersey.
To the Devils, yeah.
Then when they won in 07, Giguère was still the goalie.
Did Giguère play for the Sens? Am I making that up?
No. He played for Toronto.
Yes, he played for
That was
Toronto.
after
Anaheim. But
was it Ray Emery?
No, Ray Emery
probably was Emery.
I thought it was Anderson. It might have been Craig Anderson, but that's a long time ago.
No. It must have been before that. But I don't know.
It's been a long time.
We digress.
We digress. Anyways, looking forward to hockey season.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Okay, so
it's going to be great.
Tariq, what did you think of your first episode? You have fun?
I loved it, to be honest.
You coming back?
Definitely. I mean, if I have the opportunity to talk, I never shut up. So
you got a good voice. You got opinions, alternative takes, which is great.
Anything to create more discussion and have the fans chime in. If they don't like what I said, good. And if they like what I said, even better.
All right, Sam.
Enjoyed. As always, setting my lineups for my fantasy team.
Yeah, he's ready.
Sam's half somewhere else. So I think we should call it at that point. That's Towel Power. I guess episode 2 of season 2. We're not going to do that. October 1st, 2019. It's time to watch some hockey. So we'll talk to you again after the Canucks and other teams have played some games. And as always, thanks for listening.